First, we're going to talk about the Euros. We have semifinalists now. So we'll talk about how they got through the round of 16 and the quarterfinals. And then we'll talk about the Copa America. There was no round of 16 in the Copa, just the quarterfinals. And then since we've been gone, we've had the NBA draft, which was interesting. We continue to have interesting transfers in Europe. There was a little known deadline, Yinka, the PSR deadline. The PSR deadline from June 30th, which saw a flurry. Saw a flurry of activity. So we'll talk about that. And then I think we should check in on the WNBA. All-Star voting is going on right now with some very interesting figures. That's the lineup for today. Let's start with the Euros. So we have our semifinalists. It's gonna be England and the Netherlands going up against each other, and then France and Spain going up against each other. So I think we should start with the France-Spain matchup and how they got there. Okay, and how they got there was what? Spain in the quarterfinals. Spain beat Germany, the hosts. But it ended up being 2-1. A late goal, in extra time. Great header, almost at the death in extra time. So it didn't go into PKs. So let's talk about that. Your take on Spain, your take on Germany, and then what do we think about France on the other side of the bracket?
So what I will start with is how both of them got to the quarterfinals. So Spain beat Georgia in the round of 16, 4-1. I think that scoreline kind of flattered Spain. I think it was a lot closer than the scoreline will suggest. Spain, Georgia gave them a run for their money. Georgia scored first. Spain then equalized through Rodri, and the second half, I think they were just too strong for the Georgian team. But I think Georgia, once again, they proved that they are a very, very decent side. Kvaratskhelia and McTaude were very, very solid in attack, and the rest of the team just played to their positions. They knew what they needed to do, and they did it very well. But Spain was too strong for them. On the other hand, Germany played Denmark. The ref was an English ref, and I think the guy messed the game up a bit, in my opinion, if you ask me. There were some, funny offside calls, some goals that were cancelled that you wondered why they were cancelled. But ultimately, Germany, they're too strong for Denmark, and they came through. But in the Spain-Germany game itself, the game was very cagey. I think, or what I saw, was two coaches that knew what they were doing, and they were trying to counter each other. For the better part of the game, for the first half, it was like jabs, like a boxing match. They're just jabbing each other. Then came the second half. Germany lost concentration for a twinkle of a second, and Danny almost scored. I think that just opened up the game, and the game came to life after Danny almost scored. Then Germany equalized towards the death. We thought they were going to just go ahead and take it, but unfortunately, then Merino from Sociedad, who was formerly at Newcastle, came up with the header and scored. My takeaway from that game, I know there are plenty of things to talk about, but the number one thing for me, maybe being an Arsenal fan and me looking at Kai Havertz, is the fact that your finishing at that level can be that poor, right? He had so many clear-cut chances, right, that I thought he could have scored a hat-trick easily in that match. Easily against Spain. Easily. But there was no conviction in his shooting. You have to be maniacal about scoring goals. Yeah, you might have the movement of Inzaghi, but his finishing is like that of Yaya Sanogo. It was atrocious. It was very, 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 very bad. And I thought he cost Germany the match more or less. And when his substitute or his deputy came on board to Fulkrug too didn't do anything spectacular. The two of them decided to just be horrible with finishing on the day. And the Spaniards, like you said, give them a chance, they'll take it. It was like the Spaniard came in with a B team in the second half, and even in injury time, and that B team propelled them to the win. Everybody was worried when they took out the wingers, when they took out the two young boys, Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams. But I was telling someone that was watching, I said, see, if not for this tournament, right, the starting lineup for Spain was Oyarzabal and Ferran Torres, yeah, and Dani Olmo.
Torres has scored a hat trick the last time he played against Germany. Torres got a hat trick. So.
Yes, he scored a hat trick. So the Spain used their bench solidly, and it paid off for them at the end of the day. But I feel bad for Germany. I don't know whoever did the draws that they put all the strong team on one side and put all the crap team on the other side, including England. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
Because it would have been better if it was more evenly spread. Because I look at the other side of the draw and I'm seeing Netherlands, Turkey, Switzerland, England. Come on, it's bad that Spain, Germany are meeting in the quarterfinals. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think it was all the organizers' fault. I think some of it had to do with France. I think France did not win their group, right? France didn't win their group.
Did they win the group?
They didn't.
I think they didn't. They came second. Austria won the group.
To Austria. That was a big move that messed up the brackets, right? So that was one. So if you think about it, Austria faced Turkey on the other side. That would have been France if France had won the group. Right? So France would have been playing Turkey on the other side of the bracket, right? And then if they had won, they would have faced the Netherlands, right? And then if they had won that, they would be facing England right now, right? So France messed things up, so to speak, right? So that was a big thing.
I agree with you. And also Italy,
France not winning.
Italy not coming out of their group also. So you're right. You're absolutely right.
And so there was a few things that happened. But again, it just so happened that on one side, a bunch of unfancy teams showed up, all on one side of the bracket. So that was interesting.
So that was the Spain-Germany game. The second game in the quarterfinals was Portugal-France. Akin, maybe you take that. What was your take on that?
Yeah. So I'm going to say one quick thing about Spain-Germany. Nagelsmann decided to go into that game in the first half to bully Spain. And the English referee let him get away with it. So for one half, they were just hacking Spain down, right? And that resulted in Rodri getting injured in the 7th minute. Pedri, not Rodri, my bad. Pedri. So that should have been a yellow card for Toni Kroos. He escaped. Remember, Yinka, I told you 2 things that bother me the most about football. Early fouls not being called as fouls. Fouls in the box not being called penalties. I can't take it. It just drives me nuts. If you try to break someone's leg in the 90th second of the game, that's a yellow or a red. You know what I mean? Don't do it if you don't want the card. So Toni Kroos, who is not a hack, he knows how to tackle, but he went after this guy. That was a yellow. And then he got a yellow late in the game. The fact that it was still in the game up until that point was a disgrace. But anyway, so that I just wanted to say that about Germany, Spain. Portugal versus France was a disgrace. Okay? It was a disgrace. Let me start with the absolute disgrace of it. Mbappe disgraced all of us who support him, who love him, right? So, he wears a mask to protect his broken nose. And then the ball hit him on the side of his face. And then he
Mm-hmm.
immediately went down, covering his nose, all of that. And I believed that he had a concussion. I believed the nose wasn't healed and he shouldn't have played. And in my mind, oh, this man is soldiering on. What a guy, right? What a guy is soldiering on. And then they get to halftime of extra time, and I see him handing over his armband, the captain's armband, to Deschamps, the coach. So I'm like, man, he gave it everything it could. He can't do it anymore. Man, what a guy. And then we find out later, this man said, well, I told the coach I wasn't feeling it, just not feeling it anymore, and he should take me out. And I lost all respect for him. And it's funny because on one of my friend threads, there were two guys who were saying, Mbappe, they were saying pretty much Mbappe gave up. And I'm like, the man has a concussion. It probably should not be playing. And then Mbappe came out and was like, yeah, I gave up. So that was such a disgrace. But now it's all making sense. All the shenanigans he's been through, all the stuff he's been doing. It's almost like he cares more about what the game can give him than he cares about the game, which is very disappointing from my point of view. So that was one thing. So the game itself, Yinka, I said something on our friend group. If you have a golden generation, I saw this on Twitter. If you have a golden generation, do not hire Roberto Martinez. Okay? He will, because what he's doing with Ronaldo and Portugal now, he did with Eden Hazard and Belgium at the World Cup. Eden Hazard, neither of us even remembered he was still playing. Okay? He was so out of shape, so out of conditioning. And this man gave him the captain's armband. He didn't do anything with it. They crashed out. And now with Ronaldo, I'm like, before you took the job, one, you signed a 4-year contract. What do you care? Ronaldo will not be playing at 44. You have the upper hand here. Ronaldo has been in Saudi for 2 seasons. Your predecessor, Santos, was easing him out. By the end of the World Cup, by the end of their run at the World Cup, was already easing him out. Casual fans, Portugal teammates were already getting used to not playing with Ronaldo, not seeing Ronaldo. Yep. Yes, he came in and scored a bunch of goals against the Faroe Islands, and you qualified for Euros. Good for you, but you didn't have to start him. And then when I saw Bruno being withdrawn, and Ronaldo still on the pitch, I'm like, what are we doing? When I saw Leao being withdrawn and Ronaldo being on the pitch, I'm like, what is going on, right? And then the last one, of all the people you could bring in, you bring in, Yinka, what's the name of the kid who changes clubs like Morata every year? Every year he changes clubs. You know who I'm talking about.
Whose kid is that? I mean,
the Portuguese kid, man, he came in towards the end of the game.
Oh, João Felix.
Thank you. João Felix.
João Felix.
I'm like, for what? What is he gonna do? Yeah, what's João Felix gonna do for you? He's not gonna do anything for you, And then he ends up missing a penalty kick. I'm just like, Roberto Martinez, what are you doing? Like you're not in Wigan anymore. Stop this nonsense. But anyway, France were undeserved winners. I wish both teams could have lost. It was a disgrace. But the penalties were fine. France played some good penalties without Mbappe. And they went through.
So Akin, very quick one on Kylian. If you want to call this unpopular, maybe you can call it unpopular. But I'm worried about Kylian, and I hope he doesn't go down the Eden Hazard route when he gets to Madrid. Akin, it's not the nose break. It's not the whatever. His finishing and his play in this tournament has been atrocious. It has been a disaster. His finishing in particular. And I'm like, this guy looks a complete shadow of himself. And he's getting into that vicious cycle where he just wants to be like, I'm not playing well. I need to play well. I need to be the glory guy. and he's not playing with his team anymore. He's playing the game all by himself. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, The Spanish league is a level ahead of the French league. You will be found out if you don't give it your best. I hope the money, the fame, what other word can we use? I hope it hasn't gotten to him. Because just like you said, when he came out and he told Deshaun, or we heard what he told Deshaun, number one, you didn't need to tell everybody that to start with. It could have been a discussion between yourself and your coach, and it could have ended there. Yeah? That's one. Two, you're the captain, and you abandoned ship when it wasn't looking good for you, or you didn't want to play penalty, you didn't want to be part of the people that will take the spot kick or what? Come on, man. I'm very disappointed in Mbappe and in general the French national team. The reason why France is in the semis right now is because of N'Golo Kante and their back four. Okay, and their back five. Let me add the goalkeeper to it. Yeah? Saliba and Upamecano. Saliba in particular. Saliba has been fantastic. Saliba has been very solid. Kante, team of the tournament, automatically. Saliba, team of the tournament, automatically. Yeah? That's the reason why why France is in the semis right now. Right? Now, my question is, can they do the same thing against Spain and get away with it? I doubt it. I sincerely doubt it. Yeah? Do they have the talent to get the better of Spain? Yes, they do. If they bring their A game, yes, they can beat Spain. But with the way they're currently playing, that front line is dead. Mbappe, Thuram, Griezmann, Dembele, they're not playing well at all. They're not creating chances. They've not scored a goal, not an own goal. They've not scored their own goal in open play in this tournament. And you're saying for a French national team, it's crazy. Anyway, the Portuguese, on the other hand, I 1,000% agree with you. 1,000% agree with you. Roberto Martinez needs to be flogged. Yeah, he needs to be flogged. I don't know the obsession with Ronaldo played even the third game of the group games that didn't really matter. He came, he wore the armband, and he was there to play. I'm like, who does this? Why didn't you play Gonzalo Ramos at that point? Play a younger guy. But unfortunately, they didn't do that. I think deservedly they are out of the tournament. Yeah. I hope France could have gone along with them.
Yeah, it's good riddance.
But unfortunately, good riddance to two of them.
Me too.
Yeah? Let's move forward to the next game.
Me too.
So that's the England-Switzerland game. Akim?
Yeah, so it was Switzerland versus England. All right, so Yinka, I think I was telling you this because like I said, I had family in town. We went out to lunch. So I saw like the first couple minutes of the first half, and then I checked back in the second half. So last night, after you and I talked, I decided to watch the whole game all over again. So I watched the full game last night, stayed up and did that all the way to the penalties and stuff. And I'm like, Yinka, I do not understand the change of system. So I'm like, the only personnel that the England coach Southgate wanted to play but wasn't available was Mark Gay. This is a guy you just called into camp 2 days ago, right? You didn't even want him. You wanted what's the name of the Man U guy? Maguire. Maguire is who you really wanted. And then all of a sudden you move away from Maguire. You bring in Gay. Gay is nice, but is not like an irreplaceable guy. So it's not the kind of guy that when he's suspended, I change my entire system. And I'm like, Yinka, we may know 5,000 people that could do this job better than Southgate, just between the two of us, like personally.
I agree.
We may know 5,000 people that can make better decisions for this football team. So, and what are we talking about, people? I'm looking at when I jumped into the second half, I didn't say the first. I'm looking at Saka and I'm seeing him is really advanced on the right side. So I'm commenting to Yinka. I'm like, oh, I thought they reported that Saka was gonna be a right wing back, and Yinka was like, he is, and I'm like, really? And then I watched the full game. I'm like, yeah, they played this guy at right wing back. They had a 32-year-old Walker running all across the back line, because they're playing three at the back. And then sometimes Rice is dropping into in between the two center backs. And it's all so crazy to me. And I'm like, just bring in one guy to replace Gay. This is not hard. And do what you were doing before. You know what I mean? I'm like, what they really needed, Yinka, was the one person that has not performed at all is the captain, Harry Kane. What they needed was to bench Harry Kane and play Watkins, right? Because the lack of dynamism from the number 9 position was killing them, right? You and I, if someone had asked us before this tournament, what do we think Jude Bellingham would do with respect to Harry Kane? You and I would have said, oh, when Harry Kane drops, Bellingham would occupy that 9 position. He didn't do it. He was running around aimlessly. Since the first game, he hasn't really had a good game. Someone said the game where he scored the scissors kick, someone said it was a 2 out of 10 before the kick. So yeah. And again, like I said, this guy Tim Stillman was saying that they miss other people that used to be on the team, including Sterling, who would occupy those positions. Foden doesn't do it. Bellingham doesn't do it. So I'm like, play Watkins. Watkins can drift left, and be effective. Right, be effective. Drop, be effective. Stay in the 9 position and be effective. He's not as tall as Harry Kane, but he's really good with his head. So, but I think it's just a lack of trust from Southgate. He plays the guys he trusts, and I don't get it. But let's talk about Switzerland. Kudos to them. I think they played to the best of their ability. I'm not sure they were not the better team, to be honest. I think England actually played a little better than England had been playing. But England versus Switzerland, I'm not sure England were better on the day. I'm not sure they were better. But Xhaka had one of his just regular games. It wasn't fantastic. And I think they needed him to be fantastic. And I think you could see that effect. When he's not really, really going, the team drops with him. Akanji was great, but he missed a penalty. He really marshaled that defense. It was really amazing. England could have used him on the day. Sommer was really good. Our commentator here was describing his wingspan. I didn't realize how long his wingspan was relative to his height. Sommer was really good. But overall, Rodriguez did well. Overall, I think England exercised their penalty demons. They played 5 absolutely beautiful penalties. None of them was even particularly close. All of them were fantastic. They scored all 5. These guys, deserve a lot of kudos. And Akanji played a okay penalty, and Pickford saved it, and that kind of set the tone. So that's my take. What do you think?
So, okay. Let me be careful the way I phrase or I coin the things I'm about to say. Yeah. So that I won't see myself I'm a hater. But the problem with the English team is not only Harry Kane. And when I say this, you tell me I'm a hater. The number one problem with the English team is Phil Foden. This is your best player in England, quote and unquote. Yes or no? This is the guy that you decided to put Saka at right. Awards. Come on, man. This is the guy that you decided to put Saka at right wing back to accommodate him. Yeah? And this same guy, tell me any particular phase of play that Foden was involved in that led into something, positive for England. He looks lost. He looks lost. Himself and Harry Kane, they both look lost. Harry Kane, I get. Harry Kane, I told you, Harry Kane has been spoilt by Bayern Munich. The Harry Kane that used to play for Spurs and used to play for England that will come back, get involved with play, do some tiki-taka, then pass the ball to Son. That Harry Kane is gone. When he went to Bayern, it became a situation where he was being fed on a platter, right, for him to score. So Harry Kane is no longer the Harry Kane that he used to be. But Southgate can't see this. We can see this. Foden is not the same without his surrounding, constituency, if I can put it that way. Without Rodri, without Bernardo Silva, Foden is just an ordinary player. But you can't say the same for the other people that are keeping this team afloat. I'm sorry. England's best player in this tournament is arguably between Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka. I'm not saying this because I'm an Arsenal fan. That is the obvious truth. Bellingham, take away take away the goals from Bellingham, he's had a poor tournament. A very, very, very poor tournament.
His first game was really good. Yinka, his first game was really good. Was really, really good. His first match.
Okay.
Bellingham was really good.
If you say so. If you say so. If you say so.
You did say so yourself. You yourself said so.
So now hear me out. So you've provided a solution for them, saying Harry Kane can probably maybe come into the middle, or they should remove Harry Kane and put what's his name,
Watkins.
Ollie Watkins.
Not Tony.
Yeah,
not Tony. Tony should not be on
not
that
even
team.
Tony.
Tony will be a bad idea. But go on. Yeah.
Can I take it a step further, right? Or if you don't want to do Watkins, just let Bellingham play the false nine.
False nine, absolutely.
Let him play false nine. So the team is a bit more dynamic. There is that dynamism. They can play around with the ball. But right now, everything just looks stiff. It looks stiff. And Southgate, the number of formations they played in that match only is like 10 different formations in one match. I mean, I'm disappointed in Southgate. Well, I didn't expect anything better anyway. I'm serious, I didn't. But what really brought joy to my heart, that made me really happy, was the penalty shootout. Yeah? I'm so happy. I'm going to say it. I'm happy for the black boys. Yes, I said it. Because if any of them had lost, oh God. If any of them had lost their spot kick, Akin, it would have been bloodbath in the papers in the UK this morning. And who would you say is the man of the match yesterday was Bukayo Saka? You will not see his picture in any of the dailies this morning. It was given to
Bukayo. It was given.
But on the newspapers, Akin, you couldn't see anything that relates. My point, exactly.
It was a group picture. But Yinka, what did I say?
My point, exactly.
It's so funny because I'm texting in our group and I'm texting in my other group, right? And one of my boys said the exact same thing I said at almost the exact time. He was like, they're going to use someone else's picture tomorrow. And I was saying the same thing in our group, that they're going to use the same thing. They're going to use someone else's picture tomorrow. And what would you know? I'm watching Talk Sports and they displayed it and Bukayo was nowhere to be found. But this time, at least they didn't put Harry Kane's picture. What?
Nowhere to be found. And he saved their behinds.
But they put a group.
He saved their behinds. Anyway.
It's amazing.
You know the way we say, like one of our friends will say, on Rakpala, they will continue to Rakpala until they get to the final at this rate. Because they're playing the Netherlands, who, in my opinion, were lucky against Turkey, right? I thought Turkey were the better side. They were just inexperienced and they didn't know how to manage the game properly. Turkey should have won that game. They should have won that game. Yeah. But kudos to Netherlands. They did well. They weathered the storm, the Turkish storm at the beginning of the game. They came back stronger. I'll give them the kudos. And Gakpo is playing fine, and they have a big squad which they are using effectively. But
Yeah.
frankly, I think they will give England a good run for their money, and they can actually bounce England. So if you ask me right now, and maybe this is a good segue
So
to us predicting, who do you think is going
it
to make
is.
it to the next to the finals?
Yeah. So let me start with France versus Spain. I need Spain to beat up on France really, really badly. Uh, I don't want France has, like you said, France hasn't scored a goal in open play. France has played 5 matches now. They've scored 3 goals. 2 of them have been own goals. One has been a penalty. Um, all of us said they had the most talented squad. I don't know what we were drinking. What talent? What were we? What you got? What were we saying? Because I'm like, okay. So that entire attacking department, let's just say, they look terrible, Yinka. So number one, I loved Lilian Thuram. He's a legend. His son doesn't fit on that team. I'm sorry. He might look better on someone else's team. And Didier Deschamps loves him because Didier played with his father. But Marcus Thuram does not fit on that team. Stylistically, it doesn't belong. It's not a number 9. It's not a left-sided forward. It's not a right-sided forward. It's a guy that plays forward. And not with particular distinction. You know what I mean? It's not crazy athletic. It's big without playing big. I've never seen a player like him before. It really doesn't belong on this team. And guess who found that out? Didier Deschamps. Didier didn't start him this past game. He didn't start. He started Colomwani instead.
Yeah.
You know? Because, you know what I mean? So I'm like, if Deschamps had not played with Thuram's father, I don't think Thuram is even in the 23 or 20. He brought 25 players. You can bring 26, but he only brought 25. Deschamps is a little crazy. We all know that. You know? I'm like, why would you not bring as many players as you can? I've never seen anything like it before. He left one spot open for no good reason. So Thuram, I'm not saying Thuram is the problem here, but is a symbol of how this man manages. I'm like, I don't get the point of this player. You know, it doesn't really occupy the defender. You know, it's not a great goal scorer, at least at international level. It doesn't do anything great. But I think what's really happened, honestly, between the World Cup and now, Mbappe is not the player he used to be. That's number one. Number two is Griezmann is not the player he used to be, because Griezmann was the glue that kept everything together. You know, and Griezmann is not his old self. You know, now Kante coming back to his old self has masked some of that, but you can't imagine if Kante was doing what he was doing, what he's doing now, and Griezmann also was at his World Cup, you know, or even last Euros level, France will look a lot better. So I hope, Yinka, Spain doesn't have a bad day. I would love for Spain to break out against France and put 3 past them. That's what I want to happen. What do I think will happen? I think it'll be like a 2-0 or 2-1 for Spain. On the England-Netherlands side, so I think Koeman is a better coach than Southgate. I think that's obvious.
And that says a lot.
England has better players.
Because Koeman himself is not really a good coach.
I know. So I think they actually have similar problems, right? Koeman has why am I forgetting players' names today? Yinka, what's going on with me? He has a Memphis Depay problem, right? Which is like Harry Kane and Southgate. Koeman has decided that Depay, who is not even a number 9, but he's decided I'm going to play this guy centrally. The man doesn't score. Even in his prime, he wasn't a scorer. So I do not understand it. He doesn't really do the hold-up play thing. He's not as fast and quick as he used to be. He's twice the size he used to be. I don't understand it. Meanwhile, you have Weghorst, who is a mediocre to okay, proper old school number 9. Again, it's like the Germany situation with Kai and Fulcrum. Play Weghorst. Every time he comes in, is purposeful, is a big target. it puts panic in the minds of defenders. Is not crazy skilled. This is who you have. Just go with what you have. Memphis Depay is not good enough to play on this team right now. Or play Gakpo as a false nine and just call it a day. These guys are overthinking everything. What should happen, Yinka, is the Netherlands should beat England like 3-0. But it won't happen. I think this would be another penalty kick situation.
Another penalty
but that's
kick.
what should happen. If they had a decent coach, they should beat England by 3-0. They should. Because they actually have a really, really good bro. Van der Ven is on the bench. Van der Ven will start for England. There's like 4 central midfielders for the Netherlands. All of them will start for England. And I think because Koeman is not a great coach, what is he doing? He's playing Ake, who could be a good left back, playing him as centre back. When you have 2 great centre backs on the bench, like, you can tell I'm frustrated. I'm like, when people are not hitting their potential, it just gets to me. I don't understand it. But go on.
So, couple of things. Yeah, I agree with your take on what the finals will look like. I think it's going to be Spain-Netherlands. It's going to be a repeat of the South Africa World Cup final. And I think Spain will win it at this point. Unless something crazily unusual happens, right? It will be a major upset if Spain doesn't win this tournament. The only team that could have beaten them would have been Germany. Yeah. But let me quickly rewind back to your take on the Spanish national team and talent. So let me just read through, right, the Spanish, so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about in terms of the Spanish team. So their backline is Jules Koundé, Upamecano, Saliba, and Hernandez. The oldest out of all of these guys is Hernandez, who is 26 years old. You see where the talent is coming from? In midfield, they have Camavinga and Tchouaméni. Should I go ahead?
Yeah.
Should I go ahead? See, that is where the talent is. And they've always relied on Griezmann and Mbappe and a sprinkle of Giroud from time to time, right? Now they're trying to integrate a Lilian Thuram in a tournament setting. Lilian Thuram has never played a tournament before for France. So he's sticking out like a sore thumb. He's like, where am I? Help me, guys. I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
When he was at Inter, the guy played very well for Inter. Him and Lautaro Martinez had a fantastic season. But this is tournament football. I don't know. You see, there's a different type of edge and arrogance you need to have to be able to excel in this kind of tournament.
Yeah.
So I think France is probably investing in the future to say, out of all the strikers we have right now, Lilian is most likely to take over from Olivier Giroud. This is going to be Giroud's last tournament for France.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah? Yeah.
That's a good point.
So
that's a really good point.
I think it's an investment play. It's an investment play as against, this is my, and they thought, the brilliance of Kylian Mbappe will overshadow the jittery situation that Thuram finds himself in. But right now, Mbappe is a shadow of himself. Griezmann is a shadow of himself. Dembele at this point, I don't know. That is the most, what's the word that I can use to describe Ousmane Dembele? He is the most skilled underperformer that I have ever seen in my life.
Can I say something, Yinka, real quick? Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, Yinka, I was watching ESPN FC. Do you know, again, I'm forgetting people's names today. Something's going on with me. Bald French defender from the 98 team.
Leboeuf.
No, French defender. Leboeuf, thank you. Leboeuf. So he's talking, and he talks really fast, right, with his French accent. And it was like, Dembele is somebody we call what a PD player. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, because when you watch him, you go, oh, what a pity.
What a pity. In fact, I couldn't have said it better.
I'm sorry. I just had to say that. It's like, oh, what a pity.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So going back to your point on their talent, That's the talent. Kamavinga in that game was on fire. It was on fire.
Amazing.
Kamavinga, Kante, and William Saliba. That is the talent. Yeah. And if you go to their bench, they had Fofana on the bench. They had Bakola on the bench. They had Benjamin Pavard on the bench. They had Mendy on the bench from Real Madrid. They had Konate from Liverpool on the bench. They have Zaire Emery from PSG on the bench. They have Kingsley Coman from Bayern on the bench. Of course, they're talented, man. So Deschamps is Southgate's shorter senior brother. If you get what I mean. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yinka. All right. So this is what I was thinking, right? I'm like, if you could elevate the coaching position, the manager position for France, what would they get out of this team? I'm glad you named all those guys, right? Because if they did what England did, which is just play wing backs, right? Between Pavard and Hernandez, you would get more production up top than what you're getting right now from just a mishmash
Kunde, yeah,
not really wingers. It's just not working. Bruh, you know how much I love Saliba. Saliba has been fantastic, but I feel like Hernandez has been overshadowed a little bit. He has been amazing. Any right-sided forward that has played against him is stifled. And then he does it on the attacking side as well. So I think it's been really, 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 really good. And then I'm like, if you have Kingsley Coman, why is he not in any game? Has he even played any minutes? I don't know if he's coming at all. I don't know. I don't think Coman is coming at all.
I'm not sure.
I'm like,
I don't think so.
It's
in
crazy.
fact, they bring Bakola ahead of Coman.
It's crazy.
And going back to your point,
so
Bakola is friends with Mbappe. So could that be Mbappe flexing his muscle again, saying I'd rather play with this guy than that guy?
It could
maybe.
Be. In my opinion, England and France have had very similar type tournaments. Coaches not getting enough out of the sides, the team's not scoring goals, playing really, really boring ball. For me, they've been the hardest to watch. There's nothing exciting about England. There's absolutely nothing exciting about France. Absolutely nothing. I've just been disappointed by France and England. So did you give what you think will happen in both semifinals?
It's going to be Spain spanking France, right? And Netherlands will probably beat England. The Netherlands-England game looks like it has PK written all over it. Yeah. So anybody can come out of that.
I agree.
Because of my boys that are there, Saka and the rest of them, I'll say, okay, let's give it to England. But I think it's going to be Spain, Netherlands, a repeat of the South Africa World Cup finals between Spain and Netherlands. Before you go ahead, Aki, just to wrap this up, I think the whole tournament has been disappointing. Yeah? That's the summary. The whole tournament has been disappointing. It's like some players don't really want to be there. They just it's national. It's a tournament we have to play. It says a lot where the highest goal scorer in the tournament is own goals is it now 10 goals also or thereabout in the whole tournament. And you also have a situation where if I ask you, Aki, who's the breakout star of this tournament? Who is the new guy that we've uncovered that we'll be shouting about for the next 3-6 months? Does anybody come to mind?
Maybe Arda Güler. Maybe.
I think we knew about him before.
Maybe Arda Güler. I know. We knew it, but you're right. We knew about him before. Maybe, Mino, we knew about Mino, but again, I'm like, why are you giving Ten Hag a new contract when he had Mino all year and didn't really play him? That boy's ready, Yinka. It was probably ready at 17. Aside from Saka, he was the next best player for England yesterday. It was really fantastic. There were times when it was just he and Rice in that midfield because Bellingham had gone walkabout again. But you're right. We knew we knew Mino before, we knew Goulet before,
We
so
knew. So the
we
tournament
knew
in
the two
general
guys
has been
on
poor.
Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah. Tournament has
Yeah.
been poor. It says it's not a good advert for European football. Yeah. I think
Okay.
all the countries could have done better. But given
Mm-hmm.
what they've given us, yeah, I'm not excited at all. AFCON was way more exciting than this. AFCON was a ball.
Yeah.
AFCON was fun.
It
This
really
is
was.
boring.
And the officiating was better at AFCON. The English referees have messed this up. Other referees have been okay.
Yeah.
But no English referee has had a good game. None of them has had a good game.
None of them.
And England really needs to look at itself. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the notifications button so you don't miss any of our content.
And please don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms.